Okay, this is Sean from FFTEC, and we're looking at the new Synapse Mini diverter valve. We've had a few people come in with these, have them installed, and have great results with these. However, we've had a few people who go for the install themselves, and they have issues with fluttering, saying that maybe the blow-off valve is the culprit, but we're finding out it's mostly the installation of the blow-off valve that causes the problems with it. First of all, in the directions on Synapse's website, the picture of it is installed backwards. So do not follow the directions you see on their website, because that's just going to cause flutter no matter what you do. Now, the main problem that we're running into right now is the fittings that they supply with the kit are these Pushlock style fittings. Now, these Pushlock style fittings have an inlet for this plastic line here. Basically, it pushes straight into it, and when you pull back, it locks into place. On the other side of the fitting is a 1/8 inch BSPT thread. It's not to be mixed up with an 1/8 inch NPT thread. If you check out here, I got an 1/8 inch NPT thread. They look really, really close, but they're actually not. So if I go ahead and take my mic, and you can see I have a nice snug fit here, and I switch over to this fitting, it's very loose. So even though the thread patterns are really close, they're not the same fitting. Now, a lot of people will take this blow-off valve, install both of the supplied nipples in there, and put the plastic line into the Y, run this Y over to a regular vacuum line that goes to the intake manifold. Now, in a perfect world, this setup is ideal because it has a hard line, and the hard line is less prone to flexing under pressure and under vacuum. So the stiffer the line, the more responsive the blow-off valve. Now, the real problem with these is we don't live in a perfect world, and the motor is always rocking. It's subject to lots of changes, people going to the engine bay, pushing things around. Now, what we've come to find out is during the install, the blow-off valves work great at first, but after being moved around a bit or being on the road, they start to flutter. We've tracked this down to these fittings here. Now, what we have here is an actual leak down tester that you use for motors. At the end of it, we have one of these Pushlock threaded, BSPT threaded fittings that go to the hard line. We have a piece of the hard line here that has been heated up and pinched off, so it's completely sealed. Typically, most Evos are going to run somewhere around 25 to 30 pounds of boost. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply 25 or 30 pounds of boost to this. And I'll show you what happens when you actually move this line around, which is going to replicate close to what happens in your engine bay. So hopefully this doesn't explode in my face. Let me turn the pressure down on it. Alright, so as of right now, we have 10 psi going through it, and there's no leaks whatsoever. It's holding it nice and steady. So I'm going to turn this up. Nice round number of 30, which is what a lot of people are running these days with the newer turbos. Now, it holds nice when it's perfectly straight, but if I start to actually play with this a little, just push on it some, you can see how the pressure drops. Now, this fluctuation here is going to replicate what happens when you're shifting your car. When you shift your car, the motor rocks back and forth, and this line is going to do a similar thing. It's going to move back and forth. At this point in time, you need as much vacuum as possible going to the top of your diverter valve in order for it to open without fluttering. Now, if this is fluctuating here, obviously it's going to do the same thing in your engine and cause a lot of problems with compressor surge. So what we ended up doing for a couple customers now with their diverter valves is we just eliminate these fittings completely. And we go back to these standard nipples here. The only problem is the ones we happen to have in stock aren't BSPT threads, so we have a die here, and we spin these guys down to a BSPT so they fit right in the top of it. If you try to put these into the top of your diverter valve, they actually don't fit right away. I could actually open this up and just show you really quick, just so you get an idea. But if I take this, I can't even get the first, oh, maybe I can. I could barely get the first thread, and if I tighten it down, it's probably just going to cross thread it or rip the thread out. Whereas you can see here, the BSPT thread will thread in nicely right away. So if you guys are going to go ahead and do this modification, go ahead and make sure you guys spin this side down to the 1/8 inch BSPT, and that should be the end of your surging problems with the Synapse blow-off valves. This is Sean at FFTEC, and hopefully you guys found this very informative, and tune in for the next tech article.